just you get to choose. Right? Like here's the scenario. The environment gives us something which can be perceived as negative, can be perceived as not working, can be perceived as problematic. The world's ending. But we get to choose to see it like that, or we get to choose to see it as an opportunity.
So clearly that it's my responsibility now to do that for other people. If I have information and, other people's success is my success and vice versa.
Because you know what? Like, the challenges or the roadblocks are the journey themselves.
There's no big things. It's all little things compounding on top of each other.
When is a vision not a vision? I think it's really important to know, like, when we're doing something, why are we doing something? I got Tony Robbins in my head saying, how can you possibly have a plan for your day if you haven't got a plan for your life? And as we ponder what's the purpose of truth seekers, it's not to say that we're not acting under a current purpose. It's just to check in. I think that's very prudent to do. We're doing that for advisor coach as well, really. You should check in on your vision regularly. It changes, always. Has there been a client coach that you've worked with that has a goal longer than, say, 3 months that hasn't changed?
Mm.
And even if that changes, just double down and knowing what it is, of the same thing, still change. Sometimes it's a wholesale change. I think it's worth exploring this point in its entirety as a share, because I think it's super valuable as we kind of go through this in public, if you will, and figure out, like Truth Seekers is about the simple secrets of the successful, but all right, should it be?
Good question. I think about the podcasts that I listen to are, whatever subject they're based on are unabashedly, unashamedly just like themselves. And it's not like they're, I think maybe at a certain level, like we're sharing these principles so other people can benefit from it. I don't know if that's the right thing to do. I think once we do it for the reasons where we would benefit from something, then other people benefit from that more anyway.
Yeah. So I benefit immediately just because of connection with you, sharpening the saw, getting deeper on these concepts. We've talked about that before. That's clear. And I want more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. to quote Matt Drinkon, one of our coaches here, I don't want everything, I just want more.
Yeah. I love that.
I want to be able to impact lots of people, and I want to drive some sort of business from this as well. And I think by doing that, then that gives us more exposure, which allows us to have more value, which drives more, right? It's like it's the engine that is a win for us in a moment. I get that. The win-win is already there for me. I get to connect with you. The larger win is like, how do we impact other people? And then the bigger win, so the 4x win is, how do we impact the greater good, like growing all together? That's where I want to get to. So, what does it actually mean? Continuing what we're doing, impact more people by growing it. Like, that's the leverage. And we've got the whole of the internet to do that with. And then from that place, how do we start adding other opportunities that are either directly through Truth Seekers or as part of Truth Seekers, and go from that? That's where I want to get to. It's so challenging for me to answer the question of where are we going until we can get some clarification around that.
And then I want to dive deeper on something that you said.
All
right. So just the fact that we get to connect with each other, like try to describe that value a little bit more for me, if you could. Why is that valuable to you?
It's almost like a mutual coaching experience without a defined outcome. I actually just listened to a podcast yesterday, and they were talking, like, they had a guest on talking about, like, just the having the open space to talk about things without being given solutions or challenged. And that's a lot about what we do in coaching as well. So really, that's, for me, this is for us to go deeper and share things and find out things about myself that I didn't know through exploring concepts because I have to articulate them to you. I get to articulate them to you. Does any of that resonate for you?
Yeah. Yeah, that last part, find out things about myself that I didn't know, but by articulating it. So it's almost like it's so funny, right? Because as it's coming out of our mouth, it's like it's not planned, right? Like I don't even know what I'm about to say, but it's like it's flowing out. There's like a little tiny lag time that's immeasurable. So with like what I'm thinking about and what I'm communicating. But it's like truth, right? We're stating the obvious of how we feel. And then sometimes it almost surprises us when it comes out, and or it gives the opportunity to like build off of that. And that's what's so cool about these conversations. That's why we get so much value out of it, is like we're able to build on that with each other. I think in that process is that self-reflection, like, oh, I did not know that about myself, or you know what, that is how I feel about that, or you know, there's just different frames, right? It's so interesting, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that's what's valuable to other people, is watching our process of navigating through that ourselves.
I don't think you can do this yourself either. We wouldn't be able to come on and just do a stream of consciousness and get the same output.
Right.
I think there's something inherently required to do that, to do it with other people, that you get enough space. Like I can pause probably for 30 seconds, a minute. If you know that I haven't got to the end of my thought, you'll just let me pause like you would for a client. But so this setup is not the same as a coaching session in a way, but it has a lot of those similarities. Right? So when you force that to come out and you force it into language, that's when you realize what it is. Because before that, it's almost just like a feeling. You know, like I said, I literally don't know the next words that are coming out of my mouth, but I know that they're going to be some. I hope that they're joined up as well. But it's letting that flow out, and like being in a place that's safe to do that is really powerful. So it's, you know, we could do that with a primed subject, or just what's on our minds, or a selection of questions to start with. You know, maybe that's that. Like we just explore a bunch of questions and then see where that goes. Or we just keep doing that part as we do. I don't know.
I like that idea. Explore a bunch of questions and see where it goes. All right, so maybe a little insight into how the sausage is made here. Like when we show up to these recordings, we don't know what we're going to talk about. So maybe like what might the power of intention be with like having a bit of an agenda or something to get a lift from.
Yeah. And it did start out like that though, right? We had some intention about a subject we'd go to. I think the majority have just been like, well, let's see where we go.
Yeah, and well, and that's the beauty of as consistent as we've been about this, you know, you run out of, we mentioned this in episode like 30 or 40, right? And we're 3 times that now. There's no new principles. It's just like understanding the same principles at a different or deeper level. So that's like the good part and the bad part. Is like, not that we've run out of content, but like it's begging for a shift right now. Like we have to go somewhere else or do something new. And there's a breakthrough that's about to happen. We just don't know what it is yet.
Yeah. I think it's the external feedback or gravity that we need to latch onto to have it be part, to expand the world of it. Because there's infinite directions, right? If we had like a little bit of gravity, who knows where it can go and how strong that will be. But yeah, because right now I don't know, like as far as I'm concerned, it's a win because we're having these conversations which are recorded, which are useful in the moment. And hey, by the way, I wonder, like, we haven't recorded something for a couple of weeks. I wonder what impact that has to us, generally speaking. Right? Because this is, for me, meditative. It's like journaling. It's really important. I don't get this space with anyone else. really, just to kind of be out there and just play around with topics or concepts. Except, I do all day long with clients, but there it's about their outcomes, right? Whereas here it's about what outcome should it be?
Mhm. And to your point earlier, maybe there isn't an outcome identified. Maybe there's guides like the questions, but I'd like to introduce you to a new segment of Truth Seekers. This is the 10-second silence, moment of silence here, where we create the space for something beautiful to happen because we don't know what it is yet.
The gold is in the silence. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm always thinking, let's come back to the ROI. What's the result? Where are we getting to? Because that's where most people live and that's how people think. But you and I both know that that's not where the fulfillment is, or really where the value is ultimately. Because people remember how they feel when they're around you, not the fact that they've got something shiny and new. What's the biggest piece of leverage that we could get to have as many people be aware of truth seekers as possible?
You just attach the result to it.
Is it a result or is it a vision?
I'd almost rather like say F all, like we're gonna do our thing and whoever wants to come with us can come with us.
So do we make that a opt-in or a selection? Because if no one knows about it, it's not going to grow. So I shared a couple of things about like that multiple win for just in that stream of consciousness, but does that sit with you, Coach, or is there something else where your mind goes?
With what the value is?
About what you want this to be
in
this next iteration.
Yeah, I guess maybe I didn't even know that until you asked that. This is what's coming to my mind right now is the deeper I can understand a concept or a principle, the more I can embody it myself and have impact in my life, but also that I can teach it to other people or coach other people to do it. So that maybe that's not so sexy, right? To like, well, we need to talk about, or we have been and will be talking about success principles, but that is what juices me up. That's what gives me energy, is talking about things that are like I just refuse to go through life on the surface, and so many people are like that, and that's okay. There's no judgment on that, but I think what this is all about is going deeper on the things that really are important to me and to you, and knowing that there's a certain percentage of the population out there that it will resonate with and that it won't, but we're not trying to reach the ones that don't care about this stuff. The ones that do, I think, will recognize the value, because we can't help but we apply our own selves and our own situations to other things that we hear. And I think there is a value in the conversations that you and I have. We think about this every day. This is what we do. And when we combine each other's wisdom and insight, then there's like this exponential feedback loop, or like we can build stuff from there. So I guess I'm almost saying a similar thing to what you did, but I think what I'm seeking is maybe that purity of like, who cares who's watching or who tunes in or what, the followers that we get. Like, this is for us, and like I think if we do that the right way, for a certain number of time or a certain period, it will grow. It will grow naturally, because people can recognize that genuineness. And that's kind of what I was getting at earlier. Like the podcasts that I watch are just people being themselves, and for whatever reason I like that type of person, right? And other people are not going to like that type of person. But if you're going to build an attraction model of something that you're doing or building or saying or preaching, it's got to come from right here. And I think we have done a good job with that, because this is what when we get together outside of the podcast, we talk about the same stuff. This is us. This is you're getting what you see. You're seeing what you get.
Then why publish it at all? I guess that's like how much of that just for us to want to use. Like why? But I guess you could say, well, we get it, so we want to share it with others because that amplifies it, right? Like but so that we will attract the right people. Yeah, and we have to do somewhat of a push to do that because it's 0 plus 0 is.
Put the content out there or make it visible to the people who it might resonate with. So maybe that's our opportunity is like there's no salesmanship here with like we got to go get the followers, but it's like who can we put it in front strategically that we think would resonate with us and can get a lift from it.
Okay.
Is that a different way to think about it, or is that more the same of what it's been?
What? So let me see this is what I've got here. How might we put this content out to the world for the right people who it would resonate with the most? Sounds like that.
Yep. And then maybe another question, and maybe these are the agenda items for next week's episode. What kind of content or what kind of discussion or what kind of questions can we ask each other that would be content that we would want to watch ourselves? Like I think about that a lot. Like, would I watch this podcast or would I listen to this podcast? Like, what is it about the podcast that I listen to or I resonate with that make me watch it or consume it? Like I think a few years ago, I would have craved this content because I didn't know where to find it. Like I would watch YouTube videos and motivational speakers, and like when people were speaking, it just like it touched me, like it hit me right in the feels.
Right.
I couldn't get enough of that. Like I wanted more of that. So maybe that's the opportunity. Like I am that person now. We are those people for other people. How can we take that to the next level? Like maybe we got to bring more energy to these connections, and like, it's not just a conversation, but it's just like we got bells and whistles and alarms going off and like special effects. Like make this like a fun thing. Like tell a joke in the beginning.
Yeah, and maybe we should supercharge it, right? Like there's so many things to think about here, Coach. But take it home for me today. What's really your biggest thing to take forward from our stream of consciousness today?
I feel like we're putting in, we're purposely putting in a kink in the truth seekers hose. And what's happening is like it's building and building and building. So as I sit here today, I don't know what the takeaway is. I don't know what the iteration is, how we're going to make this better. But just the fact that we're talking about it is the win for me today, because we're going to keep talking about it until we get something. And hey, it still might not be perfect, but something has to change. I just feel that in my bones for right now. And so whatever comes out on the other side is going to be better. It's going to be improved. It's going to be another layer of value that we couldn't have gotten without the previous 106, 7 episodes, whatever episode that we're on.
Absolutely, Coach. Yeah, I think for me, it's the fact that we're working on it. We're having a real conversation and figuring it out as we go along. Right? I mean, we haven't got everything figured out. Like ridiculous as it sounds to even contemplate having anything figured out. And we're iterating and going forward, right?
That's why I think it's important that we share this conversation, because on the surface it might look like, well, they didn't accomplish anything, they're just talking. Well, this is what it looks like to get to that
the work.
Yes, this is what it is. So it's valuable for us, but I think there's power in sharing that for others who are going through the same thing or will go through it or have been through it.
I think that if we were to set this up in a place where it was when you didn't have such a relational currency, perhaps one of the things we do is set the start, go, there's no solution we're looking for today. We're just looking for whatever comes out. And we're just trying to get everything out. I don't know if we're even there yet, but for us, we just do that because we do have that relational currency. Maybe that's the gift we've got to share, is that really we could put anything on the table. I feel like we could go somewhere and create a next step.
Yeah, we can make this whatever it is. Maybe that's the final one right there.
Awesome stuff, Coach.
All right. Thanks, Coach. See you next time.
Take care.
Thank you for watching another episode of Truth Seekers. We appreciate your interaction, so please comment, like, subscribe to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want more, check out some of our links to our masterclass, The Achiever's Mindset, and come join our LinkedIn group. And what do you want to see more of? Remember, we're here to share the simple secrets of successful. So help us do that. What do you want to see? What do you want to see more of? Thanks, and see you again next time.